Hey, Nick.
Hello, Warwick. Hello, listeners.
Hello, listeners. Nicole, thanks for leaving space for me to go first.
It is my absolute pleasure.
Although I think I should leave space for you to go first because that's how it should be done.
You know what will happen though is there'll be all this dead air because I've made a decision already to leave space for you.
Oh, that's going to get confusing.
I'll just keep leaving space for you.
Okay.
Hey, Warwick.
What?
I took a poll recently.
Is it about leaving space for me to go first?
No, but that wouldn't have been a bad idea. I tell you what I did find though.
No.
100% of the people inside the tent were upset.
G'day, I'm Waz.
And I'm Nick, sometimes Coxie, mostly Nick.
This is the Tradies in Business podcast, and we're here to share a bunch of tips, ideas, tactics that you can put in place to get change happening in your trade business right now.
If you're really lucky, we're going to entertain you with a few mum jokes, and more importantly, a bunch of fantastic guests that will educate you in all things you need to know about trade business. But we do promise to do it with a whole bunch of fun along the way.
I'm a self-confessed idiot, so strap yourself in and enjoy another episode.
And because I've interrupted the joke, I wonder if some people will be like, huh? Oh, I had to think back before I was interrupted.
At least I tried to bring it back. But anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed that one.
I reckon that's a good one.
Okay. And our jokes is sponsored by one of our listeners who sent me some stuff on Instagram.
Oh.
Yep. We have a couple of listeners that do reach out and send me jokes from time to time. And these last two came from the same. Actually, I think it's a client. I'm trying to remember if it's the right person. So, Lara, if you're listening, thank you for upping my joke game.
Nice. If you'd like to sponsor our jokes on the podcast, please send us a message to cash@Tradies in Business. Oh, speaking of cash.
Oh, no.
Oh, put your hand up if you'd like some more cash in your business.
Would like some more cash in business, please.
All right. We're going to talk about today. Actually, we're not going to talk about it. Well, we will talk about it, and then we're going to tell you how to do it because we want to teach you how to do this stuff. And we're doing it for free, which doesn't make any sense.
No.
But that's probably what you're doing in your trade business is doing a whole bunch of stuff for free.
Well, that's very true.
A number of times we talk to tradies or tradie business owners, usually when they first start in the Tradiepreneur program, because we have people do what amounts to some discovery work. So it's like, okay, let's go figure this out and have a look at these numbers and let's get an accurate read on what you're doing with this. And quite often the facial expression is one of a person who has just been sat on by an elephant because
You're
it
not
feels a
selling
bit like
this
that.
idea.
No, I want to be honest up front. Some of the stuff in getting the results you want, and I assume that you're listening to this podcast not for our jokes or my sparkling wit, but because you want to get some information on how to improve your trade business.
Mm.
And if that's you, then obviously Coxie and I have been banging on about this stuff for 10 years now, almost. More than 600 episodes. There's plenty of information in here for you to do exactly what you want to do. Get some time back, get some more money, have some of that freedom that you talk about, the structure. But the problem is, for many people, it's scary to implement some of these things. And today's topic is perhaps one of the scariest things to do in making change in your trade business.
Have we told them what we're talking about?
No, we're going to put up your prices.
Okay. I'm going back in my head now, or rank, file, and serial number and thinking, we spoke about that and that and that. No, we didn't.
We're not talking about video on social media. We're not talking about hiring staff.
No.
Or anything else that might be scary. We're talking about increasing your rates.
Why do you think that this creates such an aversion in so many tradies that we speak to, Warwick? Do you have any theories on why it's a sticking point?
That's a loaded question,
No,
Coxie. You know I have an opinion on everything. I have an opinion on my opinions.
Yes, you do.
Look, I'm going to throw a couple of theories out there. One, I think is because it involves money.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that money is one of the areas that people have the most dysfunction around. There is some of the worst beliefs, the biggest life trauma, negative experiences, behaviors we've picked up from parents or mentors or family members that have just had a negative relationship with money.
Yep.
There's a lot of social influence on that as well, Nick, around the idea that if you have money or you want money, then you're greedy and selfish and that you're going to be a bad person. There's these ideas that money changes people and having more money makes you an a-hole or, those sorts of ideas. And in yours and my collective, if you add together the time you and I have been coaching and consulting and mentoring, it probably comes to a scary number of multiple decades. But it also means that we have spoken to thousands of people from all walks of life across all sorts of different industries and all levels of education. And this whole money thing is persistent through all of them, whether you're a PhD medical person or a garbologist. Money is just one of those yuck topics that makes people go really weird.
I think it's got a lot to do, particularly with the trades, with the way they wrap their self-worth up in the amount that they charge.
Oh, yes.
And that's a really big thing to unpack, and I'm not going to do it on the podcast today because it's a rabbit hole that could take a few episodes to get through. I know, therefore, I feel like it becomes quite challenging to have a business owner reflect and acknowledge that they're worth more than they think they are. And that's really quite difficult to work your way through. And so I would encourage you to think about what you're currently creating as your reality through not charging enough. We recently had some fantastic new members join us. And as Warwick referenced before, we take them through an exercise early on in the process to help them identify what they should be charging on an hourly rate for them and their team members. And this particular person is like so many that we have worked with and was only charging about a third to a half of what he should have been charging out at to cover the wages, the business running expenses, all of the things. And it was like, well, there was that look that Warwick was explaining. And then there was the hope look that came after it. Like, oh, I've just figured out why this whole thing hasn't been working.
Yeah.
Just figured out why I can't take a holiday, why there's never enough money in the bank, while I'm always relying on another deposit to finish the job that I'm currently working on. And there's none of the magical profit I thought I was going to have. So often it's because, well, and one of the reasons, I don't want to make it as simple as this is going to fix your entire business. It's not. It's one of the reasons why you're not making a profit. So many of you aren't charging what's appropriate. Many of you decide what you're going to charge based on what everyone else is charging, or at least what you think they're charging.
Or what you would pay.
Yes.
Which is a really crap idea because I'm going to make a sweeping generalization here. I haven't met a tradie yet who's not a tight ass.
Good point. Because they think they know better.
So you're the worst person to judge your prices by because no tradie would pay another tradie their rate. You're always trying to get a better deal and you're trying to put pressure on your subbies or the supplier or something.
One of the things I really don't like seeing in the community, so I'm talking about the entire trade space, is how there's this piss take of how much apparently electricians charge. And I don't know why the whole industry isn't getting on the back of that and thinking, this is fantastic. If there's one group of trades that are charging more, doesn't that mean we can all charge more? Isn't that?
Maybe we could learn from the Sparkies. They've all got private choppers and Ferraris. We should take a leaf out of their books.
I still haven't met one yet that has one.
We work with a lot of Sparkies, and I can tell you, plumbers, builders, landscapers, whoever you are listening to this, Sparkies don't make that much money because they suck at this as well.
All trades do. This is a trade-specific issue. And so I think, it is a very complicated one to unpack. And so what we wanted to do was just give you some tips about how you can actually do this for yourself. Of course, I'm going to tell you that we have a fantastically sexy tool that will help you figure out what your hourly rate should be. So you can do that, but you can actually do it yourself. You can sit down and do the sums, figure out if you need to understand what your running expenses are. You need to understand the total costs for yourself and any of your team members. And then you can usually arrive at an hourly rate that you can spread across the team. So it's a very simple sum really to do it. But the really big step here is how do I impact that? How do I actually apply that to the quotes moving forward? And I think that's where it gets really confusing for many of our listeners.
And scary. One of the big fears about the next step, and quite a number of our tradiepreneurs go through the exercise. They use the tools in our tradie money machine and they go, holy moly. So yeah, I've been charging, let's pull some numbers out of the air just as an example. I've been charging $75 an hour. This calculator says that for me to run my business, pay my costs, and just make a modest profit, like not private helicopter level profit, for me to make a modest profit, I have to charge $120 an hour. How the hell am I going to tell people that I'm not $75 an hour anymore? Now I'm 120. I'm never going to get any more business. No
Yeah.
one's going to work with me. I'm going to lose all my existing clients. I'm never going to win another quote because I'm too dear.
Mm.
And I think that big fear holds a lot of even our own tradiepreneurs back from taking the next step and implementing, as you're saying, Coxie, the new number. The other big body of, well, I shouldn't say big body of work because that makes it sound impossible to do or, overwhelmingly difficult. The other body of work that's really important is refining or perhaps even just having a sales process that demonstrates the value to your future clients and perhaps your existing customers if you've got repeat business in continuing to use you regardless of what your rate is.
Mm.
And we say a lot of things here on the podcast and we share a lot of stories from our Tradiepreneur members that have achieved results and proved these strategies for us over the years. It's not just us saying it out of a textbook or some coach theory. Our members use these strategies and they prove that they work by getting results with them. So that's why Coxie and I can happily sit here on the podcast and share it with you for free because we know it works. They charge more. They still win work. They have less tire kickers. They don't need to do as many jobs to make the money, so they're less stressed. They don't need as many staff as they thought they did to get ahead. And their systems don't keep breaking down. There's less rework. And a lot of that just comes from charging a bit more for what you do.
Mm.
So you don't need to run around like a blue ass fly.
Mm. All right. Some of the keys to charging what you're worth. Well, what we think you're worth, not what you think you're worth.
Yeah.
What you should be charging comes to that positioning. So Warwick mentioned the sales process. It's probably the most important part of being able to charge what you should be charging. A good sales process looks like an opportunity for your potential client to get to know, like, and trust you. You've already screened them to make sure they're not just wasting your time to the best of your ability. You know that they're likely to turn into a client and they're likely to want the kind of work that you ordinarily do, and they're prepared to pay for a solution, not just a price that they're comparing against three others. So we work through a sales process that does that screening, and then it does a lot of the education and a lot of opportunity for them to get to know, like, and trust you, so that eventually when we go to, in some cases, in most cases, for jobs perhaps over $5,000 or more, when we present their proposal, not just email them a one-page quote with a dollar figure on it, present their proposal, we're able to ask for the sale and get the sale immediately without them questioning what the price is at the end, because it was a solution and it fixed the problem for me so I could move forward. Instead of getting stuck on thinking about, oh, but this guy's $200 cheaper, I'm going to go with him. And then you miss out because you haven't done some of this pre-work. So a sales process sounds pretty elusive, and honestly, it does not need to be overly done. It doesn't need to be potentially very technical. It just needs to have an element of education within it so that your client is able to make a decision based on the solution and the value of that solution for them, rather than not doing any of that stuff and them only ever looking at a price at the end of the page.
I could go to my local supermarket and buy a can of instant coffee.
Ooh.
That will give me the same amount of caffeine. It's still a cup of coffee. It's black in the cup. I can stick my milk or my cream in it. It's coffee, right? It's coffee. It's a cup of coffee. Or I could continue to pay $48 a kilo for hand roasted, small batch, single origin coffee beans that are delivered to me from a roaster locally here that I pay like $12 postage for on top of the $48 a kilo. Like I'm paying 20 times the price of instant coffee for my coffee. It's still a cup of coffee. And here's the thing, I'm buying more than just the coffee.
Mm.
Anybody who likes coffee, and I think most people do these days, although I'm probably fairly obsessed with mine, anybody who enjoys coffee will pay for, I guess it's the experience, but it's the solution. We're paying for more than just a cup of coffee. And here's where you can apply this same principle in your trade business. You're not selling a set of stairs on the back deck, replacing the treads on the stairs or something, right? You're not selling some wood and cup head bolts and 3 hours of labor. That's not what you're selling. You're selling a solution. You're selling the $48 a kilo coffee beans. You're not selling a tin of international roast. But the problem is, if you don't have a sales process and if you just email a price to them for the materials and labor, you're offering a tin of international roast, but you want to get paid the $48 a kilo for the single origin hand roasted locally delivered coffee. And you've got to put the other stuff in place if you want to start getting paid, like my mate, the coffee roaster in town here. You can't just say, yeah, it'll be, this much timber and this many bolts plus 20% and then a few hours of labor. You get what you deserve in these situations. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no poking the chesty.
Well, I want people to do something with this information, Coxie. I've been coaching now for nearly 16 years, and the thing that hurts my head and my heart the most is sharing all of this information, having these conversations with people, and them not doing anything with it. It breaks my heart because I've lived the impact of that in my own family with my dad, and I know you've done the same, Coxie. And so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, Waz has given us a lecture again, yeah, you bet your ass I am. Do something with it. We've just given you thousands of dollars worth of information. If you go and implement this, this is the difference between you busting your ass for no money in the next 12 months or you actually getting paid the 100 or 200 grand that you think you probably should in your trade business. Choice is yours.
The solutions are simple. They're not easy, and they're simple.
No. Anyway, if anything has struck a chord with you in this episode, or if you listen to this and gone, yeah, that's all well and good, but come and go toe to toe with me. I'll throw down the gauntlet, Coxie. Changed my mind. Do you remember that bloke in the States who used to sit at the table and he'd have a slogan on the thing? I can't remember. Louder with Crowder. That was him.
I don't know.
James Crowder, I think. Changed my mind. He'd put up this controversial thing. It's like, all men are idiots. Changed my mind. And people would come up and debate with him. Do that with me. Change my mind. Tell me that this can't work in your business. I dare you.
Did you do debating at school?
I did. I was on the debating team and
So was I.
we almost always won.
I like to rebut.
I didn't mind whether I was on the affirmative or the negative team.
Yep. I like
My wife does say she would not want to be in a debate against me, which I don't think is a good thing for my marriage. But anyway, the point is I don't care about being right or wrong. If you've got a valid reason why you think this can't work in your business, get in touch with us. But if you have listened to this and gone, yeah, look, I'm one of those people. I know I need to put my rates up. I don't think I'm charging enough, but I don't know how. Just get in touch with us. We can have a free chat with you. We've got a stack of resources we could share with you for free. All it takes is for you to lift your finger, click the mouse, get in touch, and make the next 12 months different.
Thanks for listening.
Hooroo.